Because we live in a world where color matters, we have to take steps to make sure there's inclusivity. It's important, right, in a world where color doesn't matter, that everyone understands that we're all the same and all opportunities are equal. But when you live in a world where certain things are different, you have to make sure that you are playing the game in a manner at which to win. Oftentimes, when my friends are like, well, Dre, why do you tell your kids to color all the pictures that look like them? And I was like, because if I don't tell them, they always color them in with blue eyes and blonde hair. And they're saying, well, that's not really that big of a deal. Kids, they don't see color. This was actually at a congregation I was attending many years ago. And the way I described it to the person was, well, as a Christian, there are some people who are going to come in your life and they're going to say, hey, why can't everybody just do whatever they want? And, I don't see whatever it is that you see. Right. And then your response to them is that's a luxury, generally speaking, right? You're going to say, well, I understand that you don't see that, but my faith requires me to see that. That is a luxury that you have that I do not get to participate in. For you to say you don't see a certain sin, I was like, I can't not see the sin. And I would say that that's basically how I respond when we talk about color, right? I don't have the luxury. That is a luxury to not see color. As long as you understand that the amount of usage in certain drugs is the same in the black community and other communities, but statistically speaking, it is 4 times more likely for a black to be prosecuted for the same drugs, even though they use it at the same percentage. Another example would be if you control things like education. And what that means is if you say all education is equal, you'll find that the opportunity to generate a certain income is not the same across all colors. And what I mean by that is, statistically speaking, if you are a black with a master's degree, you have about the same percentage chance of becoming a millionaire as a Caucasian with a high school diploma. And so when you live in a world where you understand that color plays a role in the way that things are distributed and the way that decisions are made, you have to be able to understand that game and to beat the game. Not telling you in the sense of like, well, I'm a victim and this will never work, but simply saying that you have to play the game the way that it is designed. And that's what Beatrice Dixon said. She's the founder of the Honey Pod, and it's a hygienic line for women with natural products. And she was on a Target commercial. You may have saw her. She was one of these commercials where they were talking about like Black History Month. And at the very end of her sentence, she had, or at least at the very end of her ad, she had this line that said that she understands what she's doing is very important because she wants the next young black girl that has a vision to be able to go for it, to be able to challenge status quo and to be able to go for whatever that dream is, to get the funding so they can create the company. And she received thousands of negative reviews where people were saying that she was a racist because of that and that her product should be for everyone and so on and so forth. And she took it very well. And so when you're trying to deal with trolls in your life, people that are going to try to hold you back, then I believe that we'll take 4 strategies from Beatrice that you can apply to your life so you can deal with trolls and to be able to get the results that you want. First and foremost, when you're dealing with trolls, I always say, guys, let's focus on winning. Let's not get into the fighting. She was very gracious in her understanding. She said, look, some people just can't get past their own circumstances. There were events in their life. There were things that have shaped their perception. And you can't just immediately tell someone that their perception is completely wrong. But what you can do is you do not have to accept their perception as your own. Right? She was not excluding anyone. Anyone could buy her product. That's why it's at Target. She understands that it's less than 1% of angel investments goes towards black women, even though they make up a very large percentage of companies that are being started. So she's talking about how difficult it is for them. And she's like, but look, even though it's difficult, it's not impossible. I was able to get through this. And now I'm on this Target commercial and my stuff is in all these stores and people are buying them and they're loving them. Well, sure, understanding that the circumstances of others shapes their reality is definitely something that's important, and you find it very easy to get trapped into the game that trolls like to play, where you have what I call internet courage, where you're hiding behind a keyboard and you can say whatever you want and you don't have to see anyone or engage with anyone. And so she was receiving thousands of negative reviews where they were talking all sorts of awful things about her, but she just, eventually the different sites were able to start removing these because they weren't leaving any reviews about the product. They were just venting about how much they didn't like the fact that she was trying to be a positive beacon for the black girls that have ideas and visions. But instead, as they started getting rid of them, she was able to get more sales, where it actually grew the size of her company. All the attention and publicity, because you often find when you're not focusing on the trolls, when you are being gracious, that you're going to have twofold. One is you're just going to have people who like your product, who are going to hear about it, and then you're also going to have other people who just don't like what other people are doing to you, where they're trying to bully you and silence you, and they're going to support you. And she had a little bit of both. Her product is actually incredible. It's been shown to resolve the different issues that in a very natural and a healthy way, and I believe that that's just generally that's where society is going. We're learning that a lot of these chemicals that are in a lot of these things that we're taking are not good for us long term. While they may be okay for a short period of time in a small amount that they get tested for, when you take it over 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years consistently, now we get into places where we haven't really studied that, but we are starting to see some of those results, and it becomes something that we have to be conscious of. So she's saying, look, everybody's dealing with the world. They're perceiving everything through their own prism, their own experiences, and you just have to accept that. Be gracious and understand that, okay, if I give everyone the benefit of the doubt, they felt excluded. They felt like they were really excited to buy my product, and now they can't. So Beatrice just lets them know, look, my product's for anyone who wants to buy it. I'm trying to create awareness that there are opportunities available where it seems like there's little to none. And we do want to make sure that people who have ideas that is going to help the world and make the world a better place, that they believe that their voice will be heard, that those opportunities will be presented and available to them. Next, Beatrice says she focuses on living a life of positivity. We talked a little bit about it, where you just understand that people are really focused on their own life and their own circumstances and how that information impacts them, how it makes them feel, and then they feel compelled to go and say something and do something about it. But when you live a life of positivity, it allows you to find the benefit, the good in all things, where it is not always going to be the fact that it started off with thousands of people leaving these negative reviews, but instead it turned into the fact that she was able to receive tens of thousands of positive reviews on these different platforms, and it increased her brand awareness and it increased her sales and the message. And she got all these different interviews where the message was out, where it's important that people who do not have as many opportunities understand that there are going to be trolls that dislike you. They're going to make things very difficult for you. But as long as you keep going and you don't allow them to stop you, and whether they stop you literally in the sense that you do not pursue your dream anymore, or they stop you mentally where you're fighting with them, where you're wasting your time with these trolls instead of focusing on winning. See, Beatrice took her company and she focused on winning. Look, I built a product, solving a problem, and I'm getting on the Target shelves. Target asked me to speak about it, and I just shared, I shared my truth. I shared my vision. I shared my purpose. And it's more than making money, which I commend that. And she just said, you know what? This is what I'm doing. And as I always tell you guys, two things will always happen. Number one is it's going to repel people from you that you did not want in your life anyways. And number two, it's going to draw people towards you who share your vision and your focus and are very excited to collaborate, to work with you, to help build your brand as ambassadors of your brand. And so even just me talking about her today, yes, she built a multi-million-dollar company. Yes, I'm talking about Black millionaires and billionaires and the successes to bring awareness to you of all the opportunities and the successes that we have that are just not being highlighted. But at the same time, it would not have been on my radar as quickly as because of the fact that she was able to stand up and exude positivity, not getting negative, not even allowing that. And it's definitely a place for understanding that when you focus on winning, you're not really focused on the fighting. That at the end of the day, she's trying to build a successful company that empowers and influences and encourages the next Black entrepreneur or inventor to create their own company. And that has little to do with converting the people that are leaving the negative ads for her. It has everything to do with creating a successful Black run company and letting them know that it can be done, and to share her story and her passion. And so that is what happens when you focus on winning, and the best way to do that is by staying positive, not getting into the weeds and not fighting with people who just want to fight with you anyways. Number three is you want to make sure that you have a mission and a purpose, and you want to make sure that all of your actions are aligned with that mission and purpose. Each step that you take should bring you closer to the goal that you have set for yourself. If your goal is to convert people who do not believe that they're is problems in the way that society is structured and the way that it treats different people with power or those without power, well, that is a much different goal than being able to empower your community to be able to take advantage of the next opportunities for them. Right? Like you are not going to, you will rarely hear me speak on many of those negative stats that talk about the oppression and the systemic issues that we face. You are going to find me focusing on the people that overcame it anyways, because there is a reason that the society was structured the way it was, and it's because you have everything that you need to be successful. The number one the number one challenge that I see is the fact that we have been conditioned to not even try, that we believe that the ladder is completely cut out from above us, that racism and oppression is going to make it impossible for you. And that's just not the case. It may make it difficult. It may mean you have to use a different strategy than you originally intended, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible. It may even mean that it's harder than it should be, but again, it doesn't mean that it's impossible. Are you focused on the mission? Are you taking steps that achieve the vision? If your goal is to pay for your kids' college, it doesn't matter how society is structured. Do you have a plan that allows you to do that? And are you following that plan? If your goal is to be promoted to a certain position, if you find that it is not possible to be promoted within your company, what other opportunities do you have? Is it in a different department, with a different company, or your own company? I want you to always look at problems not through the lens of this means I can't do it, but through the lens of I have to find a different way to get the result that I want. You want to make sure that you are not allowing these trolls to take you off of the focus, take you off of your game. You need to make sure that you are always taking steps that help you to accomplish the goals that you're trying to accomplish, and you want to make sure that you're always focused on winning. Is this decision I'm making, is it to make me feel better about them? Am I going to convert them over, or is it helping me to achieve the goal I want? Because you'll often find that we spend so much time fighting and arguing just to get people to recognize that there is a problem, that you've lost all of your focus and momentum on solving the problem. I say let's focus on winning. Let's make sure that we are getting the results that are going to give us the results that we want. We don't want people to understand the situation as much as we want the ability to have $1 million opportunities, as much as we want the ability to have these companies to get funding for different ventures that Black women are trying to start. That's what Beatrice focused on. And she knows that by taking the money that she was given, turning that into a successful company is going to be the best way that she can create opportunities. Getting these people who are leaving these thousands of negative reviews based off of one sentence is not going to be going to help her in her cause. And you have to make sure that you are calculating the way that you're spending your time and the results that you're trying to get, and whether the actions that you are taking are going to get you those results. Be intentional and be systematic with how you spend your time. And number 5, we end where we start. Because Beatrice knew that we lived in a country that color does matter, then she has to focus on inclusivity. When you are including and providing a seat at the table with the decision makers, it allows other people who have no idea about your experiences, no idea about how difficult or how different things are, and how you had to play a completely different game to get to the same place. They have no understanding or comprehension of that. But they're not going to get that opportunity unless you build a successful company if you want to get at that seat at that table, unless you are out there providing the funding for other adventures within your community. If you are not able to generate the market value, as I always say, the amount of money that you have is a direct relation to the value that you provide the market. And so if you are trying to change the way that the market treats your people, your community, then you have to be able to create more value in the market. And it's not enough to focus on the fact that the way the market is designed provides extra value to certain communities and it takes away the value from other communities. All that means is that you have to build the solution. If making a like Jay-Z had made Tidal before he had sold it, where he was talking about that a lot of Black artists in general and just artists as a whole were being extorted in the sense that they were not able to keep but a few pennies off of every dollar that they made from their music. And so he said, look, well, if we go straight to the consumer, then we're able to create that opportunity where you keep more of your dollars. And that is an excellent idea. Now, he ended up selling the company, but the idea is still there. You need to be able to recognize these problems and then create the opportunities that are available. We're not worried about the trolls. If you were worried about the trolls, two things are going to happen. One is you're going to waste a lot of time trying to make them like you. And I'll let you in on the spoiler, they ain't going to like you unless you do nothing. And unfortunately, that's sometimes what happens, where you fall into people pleasing, where you genuinely think, okay, I offended these people. Maybe I did do something wrong. And that's not usually the case. You want to make sure that you understand exactly what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and whether in the manner in which you're trying to accomplish it. And if you evaluate that, then you should be able to understand, okay, look, what I'm doing it for the right reason. I'm doing it the right way. These people just don't want me to do anything. And I find that that is often the trap that we fall into, where we're so focused on the trolls and what the naysayers are going to say that we completely let go of the vision and the mission, and it ends up falling on the lay side. There are going to be people who will uplift you and support you as long as you stay true to the cause and the purpose that you're doing, and you're doing it the right way. And they're always, and the opposite is also true. There are going to be people who are not going to be a fan of what you do unless you're doing nothing. So do not get caught trying to please a hater or a troll, and definitely do not get caught arguing with them. You only have 24 hours in the day. Whether you spend those 24 hours the way that Oprah Winfrey spends her 24 hours, or whether you spend those 24 hours the way that someone homeless spends their 24 hours, you have the same 24 hours. And if you think spending your 24 hours arguing with trolls online is a wise use of your time, you'll find very quickly that that is not, that you are wasting your time, and you will find yourself exactly where they want you to be. Someone who has lost their company, lost their vision, lost their purpose, and they're just fighting. You've become a troll, and we definitely cannot allow that to happen. So focus on the winning. Make sure that you understand what is necessary. Understand that the trolls are a part of life. It just means that you're doing something right. I think Cat Williams used to say, feel free to hate on me. Right? That is a sign that you're doing something that's going to change the world in a positive way. Change is hard for people, but change is necessary. It's a part of life. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed listening to the audio, all I ask for you to do is to subscribe. If you want to grab a free resource, you can go to forecasthope.com/opportunity. With that, you'll either be able to create a $1 million opportunity or be able to capitalize on the next $1 million opportunity. Until next time, I'm Dre. Continue blessings on your journey to become the champion of your dream life. And as always, better self, better wealth.